We are at the Helsinki airport now and waiting for our flight to Shanghai. Welcome to Shanghai. In a previous video, we spoke about how to spend 4 days in Shanghai. And in this video, I want to share with you some of the tips and practicalities that I wish I knew before visiting China. So stay tuned. While you're watching, make sure to push that like button and subscribe. Yeah. Alright, let's dive right into it. A bitter lesson for us was that we did not exchange any money already before our arrival to China. As upon leaving the airport in Shanghai, it was quite a challenge to find the money exchange shop, especially when no one around you speaks English. And even if we wanted to pay using our bank cards, for example to buy metro tickets or for taxi, we could not because everything was in Chinese. So, tip number one for you is that if you're traveling to China, if you can, make sure to exchange some of your money already before your arrival to China. As the exchange rates here, at least at the time of our visit, were quite bad, and money exchange shops tend to charge you quite a hefty commission. Since the money exchange shops were not a very good idea, we had to find another way around it. That's when we tried out the ATMs. When we withdrew money, we selected the option of withdrawing in local currency, which is yuan. So in that way, your total loss is rather smaller in comparison to exchanging money in the exchange shops. And you just pay for the currency difference. At least that was in our case, since our bank allowed it and there was some sort of agreement. So before trying this option, please make sure to clarify it with your bank beforehand. Also, there are possibilities of paying using different apps, such as WeChat or AliPay. Basically, these apps allow you to make payments through your card that is attached to these apps. As far as I know, you can connect your international bank card to AliPay, but since I have not used it myself, I cannot tell for sure. But I saw a video about necessary apps in China. I'll make sure to attach it in the descriptions below, so I hope they'll help you out in some way. Since I did not use any of these apps, because simply before our trip I thought that money is money, so I can pay, be it using my bank card or cash. I mean, that was the case, yes, it still worked out pretty well, but having those apps would made our paying experience much more smoother. For example, if you take a taxi, having these apps helps you out a lot, because some of them they don't accept cash or simply you can order a taxi using these apps, but I'll talk about it more later on. Also, from what I saw, locals pretty much never use cash. So everyone uses these apps and local bank cards to make their payments. Once I tried to pay for coffee and some snacks, and a seller looked at me with these wondering eyes, and then she took out this box from some shelves, and it turned out that it had some cash in it. So it definitely felt like cash was something of a past, and it is something that no one uses. So in a way it was a fun experience, but regardless, no worries, pretty much all the places they accept your cash. Now that we have an understanding about the payments and money exchange, let's talk about connection or internet, which is yet another important aspect during your travels to a foreign country. Buying internet in China can be quite of a challenge. So in order to avoid this challenge, I used this app called AliPay. Basically, it sells you an eSIM card of a country that you are going to, and what you can do is that you can purchase internet connections through it. But remember to install the eSIM card already before your arrival, as in China you simply will not be able to do it, since eSIM cards, from my understanding, they do not work in China. Oh, and another important aspect to remember is that Google doesn't work in China. So if you're a person who uses Google Maps on daily basis, make sure to install other apps. For instance, in our case, we have been using Apple's Maps and it has been working perfectly. And also there are some other web pages that can help you plan your route in different cities of China. One last thing that comes to my mind about internet connection in China is that you should have a VPN services, especially if you plan to work during your visit to China. Now that we have spoken about money exchange and internet connection, let's talk about how you can get around places, so aka public transport or taxis. Since we were visiting Shanghai, I'll be sharing my thoughts and experiences only from the public transport of this city. Personally, I enjoy taking metro, and Shanghai's metro services were very well organized, clean, and had a good reachability. So we were mostly using metro to get around. Price-wise, it was quite affordable as well. I think it was around 3 yuan per trip. If you decide to move around in a metro during your visit, you can also buy unlimited trips for about 3 or 5 days. And that's what we did. We bought unlimited trips for 3 days, and it was very useful for us because the first couple of days we were moving quite a lot from one side to another. We never got to use buses. So I'm sorry, but I cannot share anything about using them. But we got to use taxis several of times. The interesting thing is that you cannot really catch taxi on the road. You have to have a special app that you can order a taxi from. Otherwise, even if you try to catch them on the road, they will either deny the services or they simply do not speak English. But if you actually manage to find a taxi and agree upon your destination, make sure that the driver turns on the meter, so you are not cheated of your money. Another important thing to keep in mind is that before visiting a site that might require entrance, make sure to make a booking before your actual trip there. As it happened in our case, when we tried to visit Shanghai's museum and China's Museum of Art, we were simply denied of entrance, as we did not have a booking made beforehand. Although, when we actually did check their webpage before our arrival, nothing of such sort was mentioned in there, but still we were denied of entrance. So before visiting popular sites, make sure to make a booking beforehand. Speaking of popular sites, make sure to bring your passport everywhere with you. Because when we tried to get into these Yu Gardens, they asked for our passports before selling us the tickets to get in. And when you go and try to exchange some money, they will yet again ask for your passport. So it's just easier to carry your passport around just in case. This sums up some of the main tips that I had in mind and I wish I knew beforehand. If I missed something, feel free to mention it down in the comments. I hope you found this video helpful and I wish you a great time in China.